The streets are talking. You are now listening to The Box Out, Tri-State area basketball talk at its best. And now your hosts, Kahlil Thomas and Jason Cordner. Let's get it.
What is up? It is Thursday night, July 13th, 2023, or if you're listening to us another day, thank you for watching, listening, whatever. My name is Kahlil Thomas. This is The Box Out here on the One Podcast Network YouTube channel. Joining me in just a few minutes will be Jason Cordner from Brooklyn, New York. And, I want to start this with the NBA announced something over the weekend. And this was something that they've been wanting to do forever. NBA's wanted this in-season tournament thing, whatever. They really wanted this. Adam Silver wanted this badly in the latest CBA. He wanted to get this off the ground. He thought it was a great idea. No one agreed with that idea. Everyone thought this sounded like garbage and nonsense, and he got it through. So they announced it on Saturday, and I watched it, kind of understood it, print the paper. So I'm going to read a little bit of what the in-season tournament is, give you my thoughts, give you Jason's thoughts when he comes on, because I think this is a steaming pile of hot garbage, this whole thing. So let's start. Group play. We start in group play. All 30 teams have been randomly drawn into groups of 5 within their conference based on one-loss records from the 2022-2023 season. Beginning November 3rd and continuing through November 28th, each team will play 4 designated group play games on tournament nights, 1 game against each opponent in this group with 2 games at home and 2 on the road. Now, the way they broke down the groups, I was going to bring this up, but I can't find a clear picture, so I'm not going to do that to you guys. You have 3 sectors, I guess. You have West A, West B, West C. You have East A, East B, East C. The Knicks are in East B with Milwaukee, Miami, Washington, and Charlotte. The Nets are in East C with Boston, Toronto, Chicago, and Orlando. East A is the Sixers, the Cavs, the Hawks, the Pistons, the Pacers. West A has the Grizzlies, the Suns, the Lakers, the Jazz, the Blazers. West B, the Nuggets, the Clippers, the Pelicans, the Mavericks, the Rockets. West C, the Kings, the Warriors, the T-Wolves, OKC, and San Antonio. After group play is over, 8 teams will advance to the knockout round. The team with the best standing in group play games in each of the 6 groups and 2 wild cards. The team from each conference with the best record in group play games that finished second. The knockout rounds will be a single elimination games in the quarterfinals. They will be played in NBA team markets on December 4th and December 5th. And then you have the semifinals and the final. You have semifinals of championship, which are going to take place on December 7th and December 9th, each happening at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Listen, I get it. All right, I get it. You want to get some cash. All right, you want to make some money. I get it. I understand that. However, with that said, is this really going to add anything to the season? Is this really going to add anything to the NBA regular season? Make it legit, make it feel special, make it feel anything? I don't think so. I really do not think having an in-season tournament is going to generate the amount of interest that I think the NBA thinks is going to generate. Now, I think I hate quoting this guy because he's the tool. Colin Cowherd mentioned something about maybe making it like a Champions League thing where who the winning team gets to play the best team in Serbia and make it like a Champions League, like in soccer. You take the best teams from each league in Europe and they play against each other in kind of a setting to see who's the best team in the world is. if this is what it turns into, where the Milwaukee Bucks wins this in-season tournament, and they get to play Olympiacos in Greece, and they get to play any Serbian team, any French team, the Mets '92, which is the team that Victor Wembanyama played on before he got drafted. If that's the ultimate plan of turning this into something like that, yeah, this makes perfect sense. Gets the game kind of that international appeal, that exposure, and those can make for some good games if that's the plan. If the plan is literally just, hey, we can make a buck on these games, we can make some money on these games, we could have those semi games in the championship game in T-Mobile Arena and really build up sponsorship money and really build up, how much sponsors got to pay to get in and get their logo on the court or whatever the case may be, then this is full of shit. And it's just it's a cash grab. Right now, at this point, it feels like the play-in tournament is nothing but a cash grab. And that it's one of those things where the NBA just wants to generate some more revenue. And they want to make some more money. So we're not going to shorten the season for the players, even though we have multiple back-to-backs and we have all these guys who are exhausted and you got the guys taking rest games off and blah, blah, blah. Not doing that, but we're going to add these games and make it seem more interesting somehow. I don't know how you do that. As I welcome in Jason Corner from Brooklyn, New York. Jay, what's going on, man?
Not much, man. I think I'm gonna be a fan of the play-in tournament.
See, I knew when I was getting the show ready that you would be the one to be like, I think it's a good idea. I think it's a cash grab. I think it's the NBA. Like, we can make some money on this. Sponsors are going to go nuts. Our broadcast, we can add this to the broadcasting package when it's up next year.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a terrible idea, and I'm not hyped up for it. Why are you hyped up for this?
Only because I like the idea of we're going to have some. First of all, for a play-in tournament, it's happening very early in the season. I was expecting this maybe January before the All-Star break, but I'm surprised that we're going to do this well before Christmas games. So here's why I'm a fan of it. Look at the WNBA's Commissioner's Cup. I think this year's Commissioner's Cup is going to be very interesting considering it's the Liberties versus the Aces.
No, we're going to talk about that later. We got that later.
So I think the incentive of the play-in tournament is going to be, you're right, it's a cash grab, but I think it's going to show teams like Denver, Milwaukee, they're going to take it seriously. They're going to go all out, and they're going to try to win this and establish their dominance for the rest of the season, whereas same thing was going to happen with this Commissioner Cup. So I think if it's the right teams in the finals, or the final, how they're doing it? They're doing it by group play, right? So each group's going to have one representative, and then that they play around robin.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah, I think this is going to be where we're going to see a Lakers take it seriously, a Nuggets take it seriously, Milwaukee, Boston. I think the top of the conferences are going to take this very seriously. With occasional Miami, Knicks, they might play hard, and we'll see where it goes because it's pretty much a one-game tournament. So, but I definitely think it's definitely an incentive to to flex dominance throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, and I mentioned what Kahlil said about maybe if this is the beginning of having a Champions League type thing where the winning team here gets to get put in group play against teams around the world, and we have these like Champions League type soccer things. Which, if that's the plan, I'm curious. I'm interested.
Right.
But if that's not the plan, and it's just like, oh, we're just gonna do this, and winning team gets $500,000. Like, who the hell? Like, they care about $500,000 when the league minimum's like $3 million. Like, it's one of those things where, like, everyone knows what it is. I know ESPN made this like a big deal when they announced it on Saturday or Summer League, and everybody came out for it, and it was this huge deal, and Malika was hyping. I just wasn't feeling it. I just feel like this is one of those things where it's like, okay, you're just trying to generate some shit. I get it. It's like Major League Baseball having an All-Star game mean home field advantage in the World Series. You're just trying to generate some conversation and have these games and these regular season games that really don't mean anything because it's like November. Add some juice to it. I'm just not interested. Bruce chimes in real quick. Of course, it's a Nick dig because that's what Bruce does. The Knicks have a good chance to win something and lose in the second round in the playoffs.
I don't know. I think the Knicks got drafted in a tough bracket.
Yeah, I mean, their bracket, I mentioned it earlier, their bracket is the Bucks, the Heat, the Wizards win, and the Hornets, another win. So it's totally possible that the Knicks could make some noise against Washington and Charlotte and get the doors blown off by Milwaukee and Miami again.
Gotta have faith.
With the Nets, they were in the Celtics. With the Celtics, the Raptors, the Bulls, and the Magic. Besides the Celtics, I think the Nets fit really well with Toronto and Chicago and Orlando, so that the Nets can take that bracket. The Lakers bracket, you mentioned the Lakers. Memphis, Phoenix, Utah, Portland. Portland's rebuilding. Once they get rid of Dame, they're rebuilding. And
I'm assuming Ja's not going to be able to play in these tournaments. He's 25 games in, and these to happen early in the season, so he's not going to be available.
He needs to be gone. So, I forgot about that point. So maybe Memphis isn't.
Yeah.
Maybe that becomes a toss-up game. I think Phoenix beats the Lakers. I think Utah, it depends on the night. I feel like it depends on who you get from night to night with Utah. Jordan Clarkson could drop 30, or Lauri Markkanen could go like 2 for 18. So you don't really know what you're getting from night to night with Utah.
Fair point.
The best group to me, I think, Murder's Row group is probably the West B. Denver, Clippers, Pelicans, Rockets, Mavericks.
Damn.
That's offense to the nth degree. No one's playing defense in West B.
Yeah.
The only team here, I think Houston's going to be really interesting to watch with Ime Udoka being the coach and him getting young boys in shape. I think New Orleans, even without Zion, is good. With Zion, they're great. I think West B might be the best group they got. That's the one you care about.
I can see that. But two things about the tournament. There should be more incentives. But what are the incentives could be? I mean, one good idea I think they should have thought about is like, let's say Miami runs the tables and wins this. You should not be like, if you're in that playing bubble, 7-8, I feel like you should be automatically in. So now everyone else in the playing tournament is playing for another seed.
So if you win the in-season, you're automatically in the playoffs.
Or not say automatically, but just say if you're on the bubble and you're battling for that 7th, 8th seed, instead of playing in the play-in tournament, I think because you won this tournament, in season, you should be exempted from that. You should be like, okay, you're automatically. There's got to be some kind of qualifier here. But what sucks is it's so early in the season that they're having this tournament. That's what sucks about this.
Yeah, I feel like like I said before, I mean, the first 2 months of the season is kind of like
it's training.
You don't give a shit.
Training camp. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just preseason. You're kind of like feeling each other out and feeling your teammates and seeing what works, what doesn't work, blah blah blah. So it's good in theory, but I like I said, I'm just not feeling it. I feel like I need to be wined and dined a little bit more and romanced into caring about this whole thing because I just don't give a shit yet.
It's kind of like what the NBA is doing with Vegas. They want to be in Vegas multiple times a year now. Just state the obvious. You want to put a franchise out there and get over it.
Yeah, listen, and they will when LeBron retires. When LeBron retires, he will go. So that's the in-season tournament that starts in November. Good luck, NBA. Hopefully it works out for you because I think this is bullshit. Dame Lillard, still a Portland Trailblazer. The saga continues. Here's the latest, and this is from Hoops Hype. 3 firsts, Tyler Hero, some type of contract filler, and a young player. Portland might want a 4th draft pick in exchange with the Miami deal. If you're Portland, you don't need another guard on that team at all. My question to you is, how long does this take to get done? Because Portland's GM Cronin was like, I'm taking my time. I'm good. No matter what, we have Dame. And Dame is going to play because Dame loves ball, so Dame is going to play no matter what. When does this end? Because I feel like this can go on forever and ever and ever.
I think this might go on, ironically, until that play-in tournament. I think this might carry out to like December or January, the latest to trade deadline. Because you're right. Everyone knows Dame wants to go to Miami. Miami's got to come up with the right compensation to give Portland. I think somehow it gets hammered down. I don't think it'd be 4. I think it'd be 3 first-round picks. Because it's all because Minnesota messed up the market. So I think Hero, another role player, 3 picks and get the job done. So I give it by December. I think we're gonna go into training camp. People's gonna ask all these Miami players questions. They're gonna ask Dame questions, and I think it gets hammered out by December. I don't think. At first I was like, this has to happen before training camp, but I think it'll get hammered out before that. It'll get hammered out early season.
Tyler Hero working out with Ben Simmons' value is going to go down. I mean, listen, there was I can't remember where I saw it. I might have been Twitter or Instagram. Ben Simmons Summer League. Ben Simmons was shooting the shit out of the ball in Summer League. Like, he was hitting like 20-foot jumpers. I'm like, oh, shit. Ben Simmons could shoot back then at some point. I don't remember when it all went away, but Ben Simmons was putting in work his first Summer League.
Mm-hmm.
So listen, Tyler Hero wants to work out, and that's on you. The other thing was that Brooklyn just has no interest in this trade. If you're Brooklyn, do you take a shot at it, or do you go, this is the team we have. We're going to build around Mikal Bridges. We signed Cam Johnson. We have our team as is right now. You don't want to really break that up.
No, I don't think you want to break that up. You want to build around them. And I'm pretty sure Portland doesn't need Spencer Dinwiddie, so you're not going to unload him in this deal. So it's one of those things where, like, if Dame doesn't want to come here, if you think you have enough assets without coming off one of your key pieces that you want to build around, if not, maybe the Nets should just chill out on rebuilding super teams and just go back to the old-fashioned way that they were doing a couple of years ago, where it yielded somewhat success and respectability around the league.
Yeah, I feel like, and we talked about this last show too, how if you look at the Nets draft pick wise, besides OKC, besides the San Antonio, the Nets draft pick wise, they have a ton of draft picks, first round draft picks for the Harden trade, and there's a few other trades they made. From the Durant trade, Kyrie. So draft pick wise, if they have what Portland would want on the draft pick side, the player side, like you just said, would really be kind of that, because you want to get rid of Dinwiddie and that money, but then the question becomes who else would they want on that team? Like, you're not giving up Bridges, you just signed Cam Johnson, you can't trade him yet.
Right.
Do you move a guy like Cam Thomas? Do you try to move Nick Claxton, who you want to kind of build around with Mikal Bridges? Do you try to move?
They got Jeremy Grant over there.
Yeah, like, there's a lot of moving parts to make this trade. If it was just strictly draft picks, this is the Nets thing all day. But I think the players become an issue. Same thing with Miami, though. They really don't have the players, not just that Portland want, but that Portland needs. If Tyler Hero was a centerpiece, I feel like this trade is never going to get done. They got to do better than that.
Unless Miami's trading with the Nets, because I can see Hero on the Nets, and I think he would flourish over there behind those guys.
Well, that's the thing. Do you think this needs to be a 3-team trade? It can't be straight up.
Yeah, can't be straight up.
So I feel like there's a lot of moving parts to make this work, especially when you're talking about money, because the money that Dame is making the next 3 years is it just gets worse and worse. $63 million that player option years last year. You don't know what to do with that. If you're a team, you're like, I don't want no part of that shit. That's a lot of goddamn money. And the salary cap went up, but it ain't that damn up. Like, it hits you. That's like the floor for a team. So I think you said play in. Or the end season. I think this can go to the trade deadline. I think we might look at a trade deadline deal where they're like, you play, we'll keep working, but it's in your best interest to keep playing and play the best you could with these guys. And maybe he'll come to the conclusion that he likes playing with these young guys, and maybe he can be that catalyst to get the young guys.
I personally want to hear why he's so gung-ho in Miami. Like, that's what I want to hear. Like, why? Because I feel like if he had a respectable list of 4 teams, it could be any 4 teams, Portland would be more inclined to move a little bit better, and trade him. But I think the Miami compensation is not enough.
Well, then the other story that came out was that his agent, Dame's agent, was calling other teams saying he does not want to come to you. Miami's where he wants to go. Do not make this trade because she's going to be unhappy and you're going to have to deal with him. To me, as a GM, I would probably appreciate that call. It'll save me some time and effort. But it does seem like some douchey shit to call teams up and be like, don't bother. Because at the end of the day, if you trade for Damian Lillard, you own his rights. He's your possession, not possession, but you have his rights. He has to play for you, or he goes home. So I feel like the agent doing that really doesn't do anything for a lot of GMs. They're like, I'll still make the trade. If you don't play here, that's fine. You go home.
Pretty much.
It just seems real douchey. It just seems real douchey to do that to the other teams in the league.
Yeah, I agree.
But I don't know. Real quick, Britney Spears wants an apology from the NBA. Is she going to get that apology from the NBA?
First of all, she needs to be asking an apology from her ex-husband, but she's not going to get it from the NBA. I mean, she was a little too close to the Frenchman. I mean, what did you expect was going to happen?
Listen, I'm sorry. You rolled up on him from behind. Like someone rolls up on you behind, right?
You don't know who that.
Public. Yeah. Like you live in a city, you take the subway, right? I go to the city for work sometimes. Someone touched me in the subway behind, I'll back and turn around ready to just hook off, just on reflex. Right. So you're talking about a 7'5" guy from France who's new to the shit in Vegas, which is probably crazy to begin with. Somebody touched me on my shoulder. His people were like, oh shit. They just hit her real quick. That's your fault. You can't go in front and be like, hey, he'll probably recognize who you are. I think she's not that.
I don't think he even know who she is.
Yeah, good point. He's from France. But she's not that old looking yet. Like you might still tell a little bit like, oh, it's Britney Spears. Hey, what's up? Like you don't roll up on somebody from behind like that. That's her. That's not her. I'm sorry. I have no sympathy for Britney Spears in this whole situation.
She'll probably get a statement from the league, but not from Webb's camp.
No. I think Wemby's like, I'm good. Don't do that shit no more. Don't do that shit no more. You mentioned the WNBA Commissioner's Cup, and I know Bruce is going to jump on this because Bruce is waiting. Bruce is waiting. The Liberty clinched their spot in the Commissioner's Cup finals after defeating Indiana in overtime, which is a little sketchy. Well, first of all, you cover them quite often, right? You're a Liberty beat guy. Indiana. It's Wednesday at noon. I forgot the game was coming on because I remember seeing it the other day. I'm like, oh yeah, they play at noon. It's Indiana because there's these random ass,
summer games.
Yeah. But does that do? That does nothing for visibility because I'm a teacher. I'm home this summer, so I just happen to be home watching the game. But who the hell's watching Liberty at noon? Like, I just feel like they need to cut I get the idea of these games for summer camps, but this is awful. It was so bad.
You do it on a Friday. You don't do it on a Wednesday, middle of the week. Yeah. Especially when the stakes are as high as they are right now with that Commissioner Cup. But, I kind of chalked up yesterday for the middle of the week early game. They blew 18-point lead in the fourth quarter. They still hung on the win. They do take some bad shots. When they're up, they take some horrific shots. But I'm looking forward to the rematch, and this time it's going to be high stakes for the Commissioner's Cup. But I think the Liberty definitely played to their competition. I'm starting to see a trend with that. Like they didn't respect the Fever. Fever made a nice run, tied it up, and they took care of business in overtime. But I definitely feel like that's something that the Liberty's got to work on. They got to keep that killer instinct on at all time. They saw what the Aces did to them. They need to, impose their will on other teams in a similar fashion.
Yeah, I think. Oh, Bruce, I'm sorry. The Liberty are frauds. Like, cool. No, I think them getting beat down the way they got beat down was a blessing. I think they needed to get beat up a little bit. because super team. That's all they heard. Super teams, and they're probably feeling themselves. They went to Vegas, thinking they can just roll over because we got Stewie, we got Sabrina, we got Courtney Vandersloot, we got Benijah Lady, we got Jocko Jones, we got 2 MVP. We good. I do think these games against Seattle, which they almost lost the other day, which they can't. They have trouble with Seattle constantly, and then the game against Indiana. And I'm going to say this, I think it shows some cracks. Right? Seattle's not good. And when they played Seattle at home on Sunday, Jewel Lloyd shot like garbage. So Seattle's leading scorer played terribly, and they still almost lost to Seattle. Indiana, although they have Aaliyah Boston, who I think is going to be a superstar, is not that good either. So you played down, like you said, they played down their competition. I don't think they figured out how to play up and go, we're playing this team. We're playing the Aces on their home court. We have to bring it. And if we're up, keep our foot in their throats. Like you said, they start the shots they put up when they're ahead. It's crazy. Like Sabrina Ionescu, Vandersloot start shooting threes. And these are not even like wide open threes. These are kind of contested threes a lot of times. They're not making an extra pass if they're up by 10. When they're up by 2, it clicks in, but they can't hold the lead for their life. And I feel like against Vegas, you have to keep scoring. You have to kind of keep going.
Got to play smart ball.
So it's. I don't feel confident about this game at all, to be blunt. I think that it'll be a lot closer than the last game, but I don't think New York's going to beat the Aces, especially on the Aces home court.
Well, that's what the game will be, right? The game will be back in Vegas?
You'll be in Vegas.
Oh, boy. It could get
I think that's the problem. Well, and Bruce makes a good point, too, because I was thinking about this while I was watching him play. Sabrina Ionescu's not a shooting guard. She should be a point guard. Ionescu's she's a point. She's been a point. That's what she does. I think Vandersloot being there makes her a shooting guard because
makes her a shooting guard. I couldn't agree more.
And she's not. And I think that's the ultimate issue, I think, with this team. Ionescu's playing a lot of time off the ball, and that's not her game. And she's trying to go around screens, trying to find spacing. It doesn't work at all. So I think they need to make that change probably as soon as possible, honestly. But you need Vandersloot. She's a pro. You brought her in as part of that super team. You can't really make that move. I got to take this Blazer thing down because it's still up for some reason. I got to take it down. But I don't know. Do you think? How do you feel about the game? I think that's a big thing.
I think they will. I think they will definitely figure it out. But it's one of those things where when they play the Aces, they took their best punch. I think the Liberty's got to show them that they can hang with them at least until the third matchup down the road and the potential WNBA finals. But I still think both teams are on a collision course. I don't see anyone else interrupting the potential WNBA finals.
All right, so the game is going to be on Tuesday, August 15th at 9 p.m. Eastern Time at Michelob Ultra Arena. Streaming live on Amazon Prime Video. Prime's getting all the sporting events, like Yankee games. I know my dad hates that. My dad hates the fact that all the Yankee games that used to be on like Channel 11 back in the day, those games are all going to be all on Amazon Prime now.
I didn't realize that. You're right, but they don't do regular broadcast anymore.
No, it's all Yes Network or Amazon Prime. So all the games that will be on Channel 11.
Same thing for the Mets, right? So SNY.
No, the Mets still do Channel 11.
Oh wow.
Only mostly weekend games, but yeah, they're not on 11 a lot. But the Yankees have like 25 games on Prime that would have been on Channel 11. Which, growing up, I'm a Mets fan, so I had Channel 9 for the Mets. And Channel 11 was the Yankees, with like Phil Rizzuto and all those guys.
We had Kindness Corner.
Kindness Corner on Channel 9 for Mets. Yeah, that was woo.
Good times.
Used to stay up late and like watch Dodger Met games at like 1 a.m. and my parents find out because I left the TV on like a dumbass. They whooped my ass when they woke up. Like, why TV on? I don't know.
Well, since we're talking about Amazon real quick, we didn't really talk about the firings last week on ESPN. Do you think Van Gundy coaches, or do you think when we get to, because there's going to be a new entity out there that's going to, get the NBA, do you think he's going to be back in the broadcasting booth there?
That's a good question. I think the game has kind of passed Van Gundy by a little bit.
Coaching wise, like I don't think he's going to coach.
Yeah, I think as an announcer, I think he's like who's the old guy who does the games with Mark Jones, coaches the Blazers in '77 when he won.
I know you're talking about. Not Hubie Brown.
Hubie Brown.
Okay, Hubie Brown. Okay,
he's gonna be like Hubie Brown because the game passed Hubie Brown by completely, but he's good at explaining X and O's and pointing things out and stuff like that. I think that's gonna be his role. Him coaching, I think Stan has a better chance of getting a job before Jeff. I feel like Jeff's been gone too long. I feel like Jeff's been out the loop too long, where he's like, yeah, he's not that guy no more. But
I would love to see MSG incorporate a 3-man booth and bring in Van Gundy.
Would that work with Clyde though? Because Clyde is quippy. Van Gundy talks a lot. Clyde just like says a sentence and keeps it moving. I don't know if that's going to work out. But there's going to be no room for Clyde to hop in. I was surprised about Jalen Rose getting let go, though. Jalen Rose getting let go was rough because I was like, well, besides Stephen A. Smith, I think he was that guy, NBA-wise. So I think I don't know what you heard, but was it all money or like?
I think what I'm hearing is all about money. It's all about money. Because you look at JJ Redick, he seems like they're pretty high on him in the network, but he's on the cheap. Same thing with Perks, he's on the cheap. So I think they're really this whole Disney ESPN thing. I think it's like Stephen A. said, it's going to get a lot worse. Shout out to Stephen A. too. I don't know if you listened to that Bill Simmons episode with him. I thought that was it's good. You didn't listen to it?
Really good. Nope. I told you I'm done with him. I'm done.
He sounds like someone who's ready to reunite with Skip, if you know what I mean.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I don't know if you watch or listen to Dan Le Batard's show anymore because it's kind of on its own. And Stephen A. was on Le Batard a couple months ago, and Le Batard kind of called him out and said, "You and Skip are the reason we're in the situation we're in. Like you're the reason that this is what sports news and sports conversation is now. Just hot takes and arguments. That's all it turned into now." And Stephen A. said, "Well, no, it's not our fault." And people will know I'm not and he said some bullshit. It's something stupid, but I'm done. Once I saw on Fox News, I was like, yeah, I think I'm out of here. I think I'm over it. Stephen A. shooting shots at Vanessa Hudgens on his podcast. I heard about that. I hate that man. I'm really starting to dislike that man, like highly. I was about this because when it happened, you and I both had the same, like, this is bullshit. Lakers get eliminated. They get swept by the Nuggets. LeBron automatically, because he's an attention whore, he's got to have, I think I'm going to retire. And everybody ran. And ESPN's like, oh my God, he might retire.
Ran with it.
Let's show some highlights of his career. And he comes out yesterday and says, I'm not going to retire. Like, we all knew you weren't going to retire, bro. Like, your time's not up yet. However, when is this time up, do you think? Because I think we're getting to that point where you have to look at him after this year and go, okay, what's left? Does he have another 2 years, 3 years, 4 years of being an impact player? Or are we getting to that point where it's going to be diminishing returns on LeBron James?
Two things. One, I don't know what's up with LeBron and ESPN where he needs to use their platform to make out, these announcements. Like, first the decision in Miami, now this. Like, he did not need to do that on the SB stage. It was nice, but he didn't need to do that. But I think LeBron's a cerebral assassin, a la Triple H. I think LeBron went into his Lakers situation, was like he relied on AD to do most of the heavy lifting, and he'll sit back, relax, and choose his spots. For some reason, it went the complete opposite. He's doing the heavy lifting, AD's picking and choosing the spot. I think that dynamics, he got like 1 more year, 2 more years on the contract with the Lakers. I think he's one
an option.
He's not going to pick up that option. I think he's going to trust free agency. Wherever his son goes, he might want to go there. But I think depending on that situation or where his Sun lands, if we have a good team that tanks, or if the Sun falls, if anywhere between 18 to 22, which is usually a playoff team. So if his Sun falls in the right spot, I think he'll join them there. I think LeBron plays 3 more years. And then we look at this expansion opportunity, and he goes straight to ownership. But I think at peak performance level, I think LeBron got 2 more solid years. 3rd year, a good role player, not expecting it to do the heavy lifting, but 3 years max. I think he got 3 more years left.
LeBron's Larissa Pippen without the botched lips. He loves the attention.
Oh my goodness.
I concur with that thought completely. I agree. I think he said that to take the attention off of Jokic and Denver beating the shit out of him in 4 games, and he had to get the attention back on him real quick and go, if I put this out there, they'll run with it.
Give it back on me. Cameras back on me.
Because you think about it, ESPN would run with anything he says. Earth is flat, he'll run with it. FS1 will, because the Herd they just talk nonsense. I'm to the point with the Herd, and I was a fan of Colin Cowherd up until about a year ago. Where if you watch a show, listen to a show, you start realizing he doesn't say anything, 1, that's factual, or 2, that just is just endearing. He just thinks he knows everything, and it's cool. and then Skip hates him. So Skip's gonna jump all over this shit because Skip is I can't stand that man. He's gonna go. So he knows what he's doing. He's well aware of the shit that he starts when he opens his mouth all the time.
Mm-hmm.
My dad, John Thomas, LeBron is too full of himself to retire. He'll play until the tires fall off. I agree with that as well. We talked about this last show. There has been conversation, because we talked about how the coaches were talking about NCAA tournament expansion. Mm-hmm. The NCAA acknowledged there was conversation about expanding the NCAA tournament to 90 teams.
Oh,
so we go from 68 to 90. It is not imminent. It is just conversation being thrown around. If it's not, that's 22 more teams on top of what we have now. I don't know how you do this. I don't know how long this tournament is.
Yeah.
But I feel like this kind of diminishes that regular season a lot, because you can really screw up. You can go 22-11 and still get in, because there's so many damn teams in it. You get 90 teams, you can have a shitty streak, losing your first round of your conference tournament, and still get in. I just think this is a bad move. And I talk about those last 4 teams that always feel like they should be in anyway.
Yeah.
We're going to get those last 8, those last 12, those last 15 who have no business being in the tournament.
It seems like the NCAA tournament is going to merge with NIT. I think we're heading to that part.
Well, the NIT, I forgot I was on this year, because the one thing about the NIT was the semis and the finals were always at the Garden.
Right.
So I knew at the end I would watch the semifinals and the championship game, because I knew it would be at the Garden. They left the Garden last year, played at Orleans Arena, where Gonzaga plays there.
Smoothie King.
It's what? I'm so you take it. So the tournament started in the Garden.
Mm-hmm.
There was no NCAA tournament when it started. That was the national championship tournament. NCAA started. NIT became secondary. Something teams who won NIT were teams that just missed out on the NCAA tournament, barely. And now you move it from the one thing that made it relevant to some court in a hotel ballroom somewhere. It should merge. I think and now you got what's it? The NIT, you got the College Insider tournament, and you got there's another one. It's College Insider. There's another postseason. Obviously, if I can't remember it, it doesn't mean shit. It's just 64 was the perfect number, I felt like. You got 64 teams. You didn't have these play-ins. You didn't have the first 4. 64 hell out, call it a day. I feel like they just make it, like I said, with the NBA, it's a money grab. They want the money.
They want the money. You got to love it, though.
Also, but no, I don't. I don't want to. I don't have enough time in my life to watch that much college basketball in 1 month. Like, they just get me and have just enough where I can squeeze it into my schedule. Any more than that shit, it's gonna be tough.
You know, it's funny you mentioned squeezing your schedule. I had no idea I had the Big Ten network, the ACC network. I was just flipping the channels the other day. I was like, wow, I have all the. It's a little too much. Like, do we need all these? Do we need each conference needs their own network? Not really, especially when the majority of especially the basketball talent, they're gonna go somewhere else to play. It's very fickle. It's very fickle and murky waters where the NCAA is heading, talent wise.
So wait, so you have cable? You have cable?
No, I have DirecTV Go.
Oh, okay, the streaming.
I stream everything, but they give me a lot of channels.
Well, that's the thing with that, because I'm an asshole. Still pay for cable, like $280 a month.
You got to switch over, brother. Switch over.
I can't, because I feel like DirecTV has some things, but they don't have other things. YouTube TV has New York sports channels, so you can't get YouTube TV because they don't have anything. SNY, yes, nothing.
I got all that on mine.
Yeah, Fubu has some things, but don't have other things. Sling has some things. So I feel like for me to get exactly what I want, because I am the idiot that watches the Big Ten network and the ACC network and, the Longhorn network I bumped into the other day. I'm like, oh, shit.
I got that
I'm like,
too.
Texas still, because Texas, until they move to the Pac-12, the network is still up. Once they move and the move becomes official next year, that network goes away.
Okay.
But to get all that stuff, I'll be like fixed it for streaming, and I'm like, I can't do that. That's a lot of auto payments coming out of my paycheck. So that's the issue. Don Thomas response. It does. Does anybody watch the NIT tournament? They have to do something to get the interest back. Answer your question. Yeah, I think, like you said, those were always the teams that either probably missed it by a little bit, the NCAA tournament, or should have made it and either got screwed out by the selection committee or got screwed out because the team that should have been automatic in their conference, they got beat and upset in their conference tournament and end up getting in anyway because they got upset in the conference tournament.
I remember one year, it wasn't that long ago, but I remember one year Miami didn't get in and they were pissed that they didn't get into the NCAA tournament. And I think they whooped ass in the NIT tournament and won the whole thing.
Yeah. And that's always what it was. It was always like that one team, like, we didn't get in, and some teams don't. Like, I know North Carolina refused to play in it last year. They stayed home. But it's always those teams that are like, we should be in there. Fuck it. We won't mess everybody up this year. And they just run through it. And they get to raise a trophy at the Garden. That was the end game. The Garden was like, oh, we didn't make it there, but we're in the middle of the Garden floor holding this trophy up in the world's most famous arena. Now, like I said, you're playing in Vegas in the middle of, I don't even know what the hell you're playing in right now. The other NCAA story I want to talk about is Bob Huggins. Bob Huggins resigned as West Virginia head coach after blowing a .21 driving. He resigned. Now he's saying he didn't act. So he says. Now he's saying he didn't write the letter. The statement that he wrote that he resigned came from his wife. And then West Virginia announced it, named an interim coach, blah, 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 blah. I think he might have still had a job with them, like just as like an advisor, still getting paid. Now he's saying he never wrote the actual letter and he wants his job back. Now, this is after he said a gay slur or interview, so they let that slide, suspend him for a couple games. Then he got caught drinking and driving. That's why he left Cincinnati the last time. He left Cincinnati for drinking and driving. So obviously, dude's got a problem. But he wants his job. He's going to try to get his job back. We got this in basketball. We got the Northwestern story with the hazing in that situation where the Northwestern coach who got fired is going to sue the school. Regarding Huggins, does he get his job back, or do you think, one, either this is settled, or West Virginia's like, no, sue us. We'll take you to court, and you're a fuck up, and we fired you.
Whoa. I want to say it's going to settle, but I feel like they could be like, listen, man, you have a drinking problem. Your wife wrote the letter. What's going on here? Why are you waiting so long? Maybe the university might push back and be like, go ahead, sue us. Go ahead. We'll see what happens in court. But either way, I don't think he's not coming back there. He can't go back there. There's no way.
No, and the only way he comes back, he is West royalty, which I don't know what that means in the grand scheme of things. I just think this is your second time with a DUI, and not like a little one. You blew a .21. That's some heavy duty drinking. That was me the last day of school, passing off his couch for like an hour. Like you're blowing .21s and driving, you are fucked up. You were done. So it's a bad look, but I think they're gonna fight it. They already said it's meritless, and they're gonna fight it, and they have their coach already in place, and they're trying to keep the recruits and the transfers because apparently Huggins had a great transfer class coming in. Try and keep them together. We'll see what that works. He shouldn't probably get a shot at all. All right, last topic of the night. I want to talk wrestling because I'm behind on AEW. I do not watch AEW Dynamite. I keep recording them, but I never watch them. Okay. I did catch a couple Collision episodes. We talked about a few months ago. We talked about how something was missing. Something seemed off. Mm-hmm. Do you still feel the same way, or do you think they kind of start to find their footing a little bit and like, okay, this is what we're doing? Oh God, here goes Bruce. R.I.P. AEW. Do you think they found their footing?
I think they're slow. They're getting there. They're getting to their footing, and it's coming at the right time because they got the Wembley Stadium event coming next month.
Mm-hmm.
So they got to get together.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Now, as I said, they're slowly getting together, getting ready for that. But I think I don't watch a lot of Collision because it comes on Saturday night. So I feel so lost on that show. But I did see the Samoa Joe CM Punk match, which was good. But I think they need something. I feel like they're still lacking something. Whereas everybody's in one or two same storylines. Like I think the Blackpool Club against the Elite, and now they're bringing in the Golden Lovers, and they're bringing in all these other guys back in now. I feel like that's kind of diluting the product where they're all fighting each other a little bit. And then you got Adam Cole and MJF, which is kind of funny. They're kind of doing the Rock.
That's funny.
It's funny.
That shit's funny. Yeah. And you're just waiting for that to blow up. And you wait for it to blow up. You're waiting for that.
But when is it going to blow up? I mean, I think they're going to win the tag team titles. See, you know what? I take that back. Them winning the tag team titles would be so WWE. I think somebody gets screwed in the championship match would make it more AEW.
Yeah, that'd be MJF would like low blow Adam Cole and say, you trusted the devil or some shit like that.
Right. That'd be more AEW. If they won the tag team titles and then kind of had a little blow up later on, that'd be more WWE. And I don't think they're going to go that route.
Well, it's funny because, Bruce is saying RIP AEW, and I'm on some toxic Twitter feeds and Facebook pages. They're renegotiating their contract with Warner Brothers Discovery, and apparently Warner Brothers Discovery loves what's happening because no matter what, Dynamite's getting 800,000 people every week. Warner Brothers like more than we got normally. Collision's getting half a million, and this is before DVR numbers and all that other stuff. If we get technical, Warner Brothers is like, listen, you're making us money. Like you're bringing in viewers. We're not going to get 800,000 showing a Big Bang Theory rerun. Right? And Saturday night, we're going to get 500,000 watching Fast 6. Like they know what they have. They're going to get a whole lot more money in this new contract. So the idea of them being down, they're about to sell out Wembley, like legit, not like WWF sell out when they announce a big number. They're going to legit sell that place out. They're about to get $1 billion, give or take, for Warner Brothers to keep the TV show on. I think they're in a good position. I think WWE, they're in a good spot too, but I think once the Bloodline storyline ends, I think that's when you're going to see, like, hey, what else do you got? Because that's the only real thing going on in the whole company right now is that.
Yeah. I'm gonna be sad when it ends because that was like the best story they had since Macho Man and Elizabeth and Hogan.
What?
I can't think of something better than the Bloodline.
But don't you feel it's gone to? We're hitting that point where I'm like, okay, let's kill it now. It's done. It's over. End the storyline. We've had enough already.
But to be fair to the Bloodline storyline, it has rejuvenated Sami Zayn. It's made Jey Uso a legit star now. Roman's he's a good heel. We all knew this was going in, so it's definitely done its part. But like you said, now we got to see what happens after this. Now it's time where you have to elevate Gunther. You have to figure out what you're doing with Theory. You got to figure out what you're gonna do with the rest of the roster. But the only way this ends is I think Solo's gonna have to be the one to turn on Roman.
I hope it happens soon because I'm kind of tired of the storyline now.
Really?
I think I'm bloodlined out. I think I'm
Really?
done. Because you watch SmackDown. I know we're gonna probably lose viewers officially now, so thanks for watching. You watch SmackDown. You open with the Bloodline. You close with the Bloodline. Right? There's nothing else in between. There's nothing. They were in the Garden on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
LA Knight, who might be the most over guy they have, wasn't on the live. He was before the show started. So you're not taking advantage of the guy you have that, okay, let's start setting up for when this ends. Hey, he's over and he's like 40. We got to pull the trigger on him because he's old. Let's get it moving. You put him before the show and make it exclusive on Twitter. It makes no sense. Besides that, Seth Rollins champion doesn't mean anything. The Judgment Day stuff is stupid. Rhea doesn't have an opponent.
Did you hear Cody Rhodes when he got talked in the media scrum? Did you hear what he said about the belts?
Mm-hmm. I heard.
Like, there was no way he should have been like, whatever. That explanation was just like, you just pretty much clarifying that Seth's title is a secondary. It means nothing.
Yeah, I watched NWA the other day. Okay. That's the most low rent shit I've ever seen in my life. Like, God bless Billy for bringing it back, but I'm like, this is like this feels like 1960s territory shit in 2023. It's gonna die. It's gonna die sooner than later.
Slow that.
And then like their main event for it. Yeah, and their main event for pay-per-view like Tyrus versus EC3. I'm like, oh Jesus Christ! I'm like, I'm done here. Mm-hmm. I tried, guys. I tried. Jay, as always, great show, bro.
Likewise.
So now we got to do this wrestling show because Bruce got a lot of opinions. I think we need to have this exclusive wrestling show, me, you, and Bruce. Because Bruce seemed to think that AEW is dead. I think we got to loop Bruce into this because Bruce needs to be a part of it. We'll be back next week. Obviously, it's the summer, so our shows are going to kind of get a little bumpy. But we'll come back, and I want to bring the topic up to you now. I want you to start thinking about it, Jay. Top 10 most underrated players in NBA history. That's our topic next week.
You know what? I'm glad you said that because I didn't know it wasn't Threads. It was on maybe Twitter, but I had to go on a quick rant the other day about it was about the Blazers, and I was like, we'll get into it next week. But it's definitely about somebody who was probably on that list.
Bruce, see you done. So see you all for summer. No, we're back next week here on One Podcast Network. Patrice O'Neal episode. Live Free, Laugh Hard. Our Patrice O'Neal episode that is up on our page. We just recorded a episode about Sebastian Maniscalco, who the co-host of the show with hates Sebastian Maniscalco. So that was fun. We have an SNL episode. Andrew Dice Clay is coming up. A lot happening here on the One Podcast Network. So support us, subscribe, like, help us out because we're kind of new at this. So we need the help. So please help us. So for Jay, I'm Kahlil. Thank you so much for watching, listening. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Peace.
This has been The Box Out with Kahlil Thomas and Jason Kortner. Subscribe now for the best tri-state area basketball talk.